What happens if during this whole process and someone starts bleeding? Does that automatically mean that it's a miscarriage?
25% of normal pregnancies outside of IVF have some form of bleeding or spotting. Never stop your medications unless you talk to the provider or the team that's here that we verify that you should stop them. If there is bleeding, there's always an on-call individual, whether it's a doctor or a nurse practitioner, overnight. So you would just call the on-call physician or provider, tell them what your symptoms are. If you're bleeding, how much bleeding, is it still happening, if there's any cramping, etc. And oftentimes they may say, you had bleeding just when you went to the bathroom, but nothing else, you're not cramping, put a pad on, we'll see you tomorrow, or we'll have someone see you tomorrow. Or if you're like, I'm actively bleeding, I have a lot of cramping, they may also tell you to go to the emergency room. Again, just so you would have more urgent care, an ultrasound and blood work, etc. But again, just because there is some bleeding in the early part of pregnancy, it does not equate to a miscarriage right away. It just means that you need to talk to someone and need to have some form of evaluation, whether it's that night or the next couple of days.
Is it normal to have bleeding even going into like you're getting ready to your 10th, 11th week, everything looks great, and then all of a sudden you start having bleeding? Obviously, everybody is panicked because, they say once you get 12, 13 weeks, everything should be smooth and can let everybody know that you're pregnant now and blah, blah, blah. But for whatever reason, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, we had a lot of surrogates that had...
Like hemorrhage?
Yes.
Yes. So that's the most common reason why people actually have bleeding, where maybe potentially a part of the placenta lifted up a little bit. There's lots of bleeding, usually painless, and then it stops. So you can have it early on in pregnancy or later. If you do, it's something that we just monitor. I usually recommend pelvic rest, so no intercourse, obviously nothing inside the vagina. But bleeding can come from a lot of different places. Subcurrent hemorrhages most definitely can happen, and we monitor them with ultrasound and symptoms. But sometimes people don't realize that the cervix itself can be irritated. And so if there's a part in your cervix because you were using suppositories, and people use the applicators oftentimes to push them up, they could scratch the side of the vagina or kind of nick the cervix. So it's like having some irritability. So you'll be like, they're like, every time I wipe, I see bleeding, but it's coming from the vagina and not the uterus. The provider or whoever you talk to, how often are you having the bleeding? Is there anything that makes it better or worse? And oftentimes we do ultrasounds to see if things are okay, or sometimes we may just do a gentle speculum exam to kind of look and be like, oh, actually, that's coming from the side of the vaginal wall. It's not hurting anything, but maybe don't use the applicators because, it's more irritating to use. Maybe just use your finger, moisten the tablet to put it inside the vagina. There are other reasons and other places you can bleed. And I must say also, I've had a surrogate before where it actually wasn't bad to bleed. She had a hemorrhoid and didn't realize it until someone actually looked.
Is it also important not to be sexually active, obviously before transfer, during that time period too, in which you've had the transfer and now you're kind of waiting for that blood test?
We don't want any sperm in the area when we're going to do things for the transfer. But in that early part of pregnancy, oftentimes it is in the legal contract to not have intercourse, because intercourse can cause like natural trauma to the uterus, bleeding. You can have actually cramping due to different things like intercourse.